A man tells his daughter that she would only leave the room when she has a child. He then locks the woman inside the room with the man. The woman then gets dressed and says that she already knew that man was a person her father had paid to give him a grandson. The man then says that she was right, and then she asks if he was going to do it for the money. The man said that he would not do it for the money, as his mother was very sick and the treatment was expensive. He said that her father had agreed to pay for the treatment, but that he was considering not doing it anymore. The woman then tells him that she had a plan so that he could get his mother's treatment and that she could get what she wanted. He then asks what she was talking about, but she says that all he needed to do was trust her. The man then says that he would trust her, and she said that he would not regret it. She then tells them to lie down on the bed so her dad would think they were up to something. At this moment, the maid enters the room and asks if the woman was all right. She said she came running when she heard what had happened. The woman then says that she was fine and that she had a plan, but that she would need the maid's help. The maid then says that she would do anything to help the woman, but that she needed to be careful. She then says that she needed to go, as the woman's father would soon return. The man then asks if she really trusted the maid, and she says yes. She says the maid was with them from when she was a child. She said that she babysat her before, but now she was his best friend. Then we are shown that some time ago, the man goes to the woman's father's room. The man asks if he had the call, and the woman's father says yes. He asks the man to sit down, as they needed to talk. He says that his daughter was causing him a lot of trouble as he needed an heir, and his daughter was not willing to do that for him. The man then asks what he could do, since he was just a janitor, but the woman's father says that he would lock them both in a room and that the man would only come out of there when he had made an heir for him. The man then says he didn't understand what his boss was saying and says he couldn't do that, but the woman's father says he knew the man's mother was very sick and the treatment was very expensive. He then says that if the man helped him, he could pay for his mother's treatment. The man then asks if his boss was really telling the truth. He says that the man knew that he was a very rich person and that he never lied. The woman's father says that if the man helped him, he, in addition to paying for his mother's treatment, would also promote him to the best position in his company. The man then says that, despite being an excellent proposal, he couldn't do that, because it was about a person's feelings. The woman's father then says that he would not take no for an answer and that he would take the man to his house and lock him in the room with his daughter, and he would do as he was told. The man tries to reason with his boss, but he says that if he didn't do that, he would be fired. The story then flashes back to the present as they were leaving the room. The woman's father then asks if the man did as he asked and asks if his heir was on the way. The man then said yes, and that he had done what his boss had asked. The woman's father then asks her to leave him alone so he can talk to the man. The woman's father then says that he would not pay for the man's mother's treatment. This leaves him very shocked, and he says that his boss had said that he would pay for all of his mother's treatment. He then said that he would only do what he had promised when the man married his daughter, but the man said that he could not do that, as that would be wrong. The woman's father then asks if he would pass up the chance to be her son-in-law and the father of her future heir. The man then says he couldn't do that as he didn't have feelings for the woman, and she didn't have feelings for him either, but his boss says he was a powerful man and he wouldn't take no for an answer. The woman's father then says that the man would marry her. Sometime later, the maid asks if the woman was really sure she wanted to do that. She says yes, because that was the only way she could help the man and help herself. The maid then says that since she was going to do that, she could use her help. Sometime later, the woman asks the man what his father had said. He said that her father had said that he would only pay for his mother's treatment if he married her. The woman then said that her father was a very bad person and that she couldn't believe he had done that. The Tom man said that now their plan had gone wrong, but she says they still had something they could do. She says they could get married. The man then asks if she would really do that for him, and she said yes, because since her mother died, she didn't have any parents in that house. She said that marriage would be like a form of freedom for her and that she could finally leave that house. The man said that he needed to pay for his mother's treatment and that was the way he was going to get it. Sometime later, they are together when the woman's father arrives. He said he was happy his daughter was giving him a mischievous one and asks if she already knew if she was a boy or a girl. The woman says that they were going to the doctor to find out the sex of the child, and her father said that they could only leave the doctor's office when they had that information. The man says as soon as they knew he would tell him, and tells the woman they needed to leave. They then meet with the maid, and she asks if the plan was working. The woman says yes, and that when she returned from the doctor, the maid should put her plan into practice. The maid says they could cut it with her and wishes them luck. Sometime later, they go back to the doctor, and the woman's father asks if they already knew the sex of the child. The woman says the child was a boy, and then her father celebrates. He says that now he would finally have an heir. The woman then asks if she was also her father's heiress. He says yes, but in a way that turns out not to be very good. The man then asks if his boss would keep his end of the bargain, but at that moment, the maid arrives and says that she needed to take care of some business upstairs. The woman's father then says that he would fulfill his part of the bargain, but that he had one more condition to it. The man then asks what this other condition would be, and the woman's father says that they would need to transfer custody to him, as he would be the one to take care of the child. The woman then said that that was absurd, because that child was hers and the man's. Her father then says that that child was his, because his wife had not been able to give him a male child, so that would be her child. The woman then asks why her father is so angry with her mother. She asks if her father was so mad at her mother just because she left and gave him a female daughter. Her father still didn't say that he was very angry with his wife. The man then says that his boss would not keep the child, as they were the parents. The woman's father then says that he couldn't do anything to him, because if he wanted to, he would finish the janitor, just as he finished his daughter's mother. The woman then asks if her father was responsible for her mother's disappearance, and he says yes, because he was the one who ended her. The woman then says that she knew about it, as her mother's disappearance had been very suspicious. Her father then says that they could not defy him, as that child would be his. And then they start laughing and say that if the woman's father really wanted that child, he could have it. The woman then proceeds to take some hidden cloths from her belly and throw them at her father. Her father then asks what that meant, and the man says that it meant that he would spend the rest of their days behind bars. He then says they were playing with the wrong person, as he was going to end up with both of them. The woman then says that they had recorded everything her father had said, asks her for the maid to come to them. The maid then goes to him and says that she had recorded all that. The man then said he would call the police. He takes his phone and tells the delegate that everything was prepared and that he already had the necessary evidence to be able to arrest the woman's father. He then laughs and says that they couldn't do anything to him, but at this moment, a policeman arrives and the man says that that was the person he should arrest. The man then tells the woman that their plan had worked and that now she was free of her father's. She said she got it only because the man helped her. She then said she would pay for the man's mother's treatment. This makes him very happy, so they hug.